So how do we secure our APIs and our table views in our WeWeb backend? Well, that's exactly what we'll cover in this video. So first, we'll cover a bit of the theory about why security is important. At face value, we probably all know that securing our data and our application is important, but what that actually means at a granular level can often go overlooked if this is your first time building a web application. So we'll go over some of that in this first topic. Next, we'll cover how to use the security panel. This is the main way and the easiest way you can secure your table views and your APIs inside of WeWeb. And lastly, we'll cover what is middleware and how to use it. For most applications, middleware will be a bit of an edge case. You can probably implement all your needed security solely in the security panel. But if you need to get extra granular, then you can use middleware, and we'll cover what it is and how you can do so in this third topic. So without further ado, let's dive in and cover why security is important. So when it comes to security, the first thing we don't want to do is expose data. And what I mean by this is you as a user have probably signed up for various different applications across the years. And at a base level, you've probably given your name and your email address. And then for more specific things, you've probably given your actual home address. And beyond that, probably even more sensitive information. And so as such, you would probably be very unhappy if suddenly one of those applications exposed your sensitive data and anyone on the internet could then see your sensitive private data. And so in our applications, we obviously do not want to expose this sensitive data. And the second point of data security that we need to consider is, I'll call it data editing rights. And what I mean by data editing rights is that, let's say you have an API and you use that API to delete a record from your table. So say, for example, your application was a project management tool, and in your application, you have a projects table. And this table then stores all of the projects that your users have added to your project management tool. Now, we wouldn't consider projects necessarily sensitive data. You might be working on a website redesign project, and you probably don't want everyone in the world to know about your website redesign project, but the data of that project is nowhere near as sensitive as your personal information. However, in the case of a project management tool, your day-to-day operations probably rely heavily on that data staying intact. And so if you're the owner of this project management tool, you can imagine how awful your day would be if suddenly all of the projects in your application, so all the projects your users have entered in, suddenly got deleted one day. The reason I use this example is because this is the type of vulnerability that can be absolutely fatal to your application. But if it's your first time doing things, it's extremely easy to expose this without knowing you've done so. So for example, in WeWeb, I have this delete row API that deletes a row from my brands table. And this is nice, it's handy. I can use this from my interface. I can call it and delete rows programmatically from my brands table. However, right now, as you can see in the top right corner, this API is currently public, meaning that even if I don't necessarily give someone an obvious way to call this API from my interface, if they have enough technical know-how, they could figure out how to call this API, and they would be able to because it's public, and thus anyone in the entire world would be able to delete a row from my brands table, which is not good. And so we need to make sure we consider both of these. We don't expose sensitive data to users that shouldn't have access to the data, but we also make sure we have the correct data editing restrictions in place, so only users with the necessary privileges can make edits to our database. So how do we do that? Well, with a bit of the theory about why security is important covered, let's now discuss how you can use the security panel inside of WeWeb to enforce those restrictions. So back in WeWeb, I'll use this delete row API as an example again. And as I said before, right now, this is set to be public. However, if I click this, I'm then presented with this security pop-up. And from here, I can control the security restrictions of this API. If I open this selector, I have two broad options. The first is public, meaning anyone in the entire world can access my API. And the second is authenticated, meaning only users who are signed into my application can call this API. And if I select authenticated, I then have even more granular control. And so here, if I wanted to, I could control exactly what roles can access this API. And in the case of my delete a row from the brand table API, this is a perfect use case where I would want to enforce even more granular role restrictions. I might only want admins to be able to delete a row. So for this, I could create a role. I could type admin and press insert. That will then create an admin role in my database. And now only admins would be able to access this delete row API. And to control who has what roles, in the users table, you have this roles column where when you click into it, you can then assign roles to users manually like so, or programmatically whenever you create the user in some kind of backend workflow. And so at a broad level, the security panel is pretty much that straightforward. And 90+% of use cases you can get by with your access restrictions by solely using what we see here in the security panel. So enforcing some kind of public or authenticated restriction, and then if you need to, adding some kind of role restriction. So that was the security panel. But as mentioned, there's one last thing to cover, and that's middleware. So what is middleware, and how do you use middleware? And middleware is for that extra 1% of use cases where you need to get even more granular. So to explain what middleware is, I'm again going to reference back to my projects table example here. And we had the API to delete a project. So here I've got my API and it is delete. And so whenever a user wants to delete a row from this projects table, they call this API and maybe they pass in the ID. And this API then goes into that table and deletes the record with this ID. Now, if I'm the user calling this API, so I make my request and the API then handles the logic and interacts with the table. Now, where middleware happens is here. So this person makes the request, and before anything even happens in the API, any middleware we set up will run here. And because it runs here before anything happens in the API, we can implement some kind of custom security logic to check if this person should be able to access this API, essentially. And the use case I want to show for this is, let's say in your application, you have brands, and each brand can belong to a parent company. And also in our application, a user can belong to a company. Well, maybe in my app, for my API that let's say is for deleting a brand, whenever a user calls this API, before we let them delete a brand, I want to make sure that the user belongs to the company that owns this brand. This kind of enforcement where we want to check if a user belongs to a certain record that they're trying to interact with, this is an ideal use case for middleware. And so in my WeWeb app here, I have this exact use case. So I have brands and each brand belongs to a parent company. I then have a companies table, which is what the brand's records link to. And I then have a user company table, which links a given user to a given company. And so as mentioned, when a user wants to delete a brand, I want to make sure they belong to this parent company of the brand the person is trying to delete. And so to create the middleware that will handle this is I can switch to the middlewares tab here. I can create a new middleware and I'll call this check brand belongs to user, like so. And when you create a middleware from scratch, it will always start with this true or false split, and you'll see why in a second. So I can add an action where I say get rows, and we want to get a record from the brands table. And we want to filter for whichever brand the person is trying to delete. Now, obviously we need to do this dynamically. Each time that we call this middleware, it will be a different brand and a different user that we want to check for. So what I can do is I can add a parameter and I will call this brand ID, like so. So then where I get a record from the brands table, I can set up a filter to say, get me the brand where ID is whatever brand ID gets passed for that parameter. And so we can test this. Let me just grab an example brand ID. So let's grab this KitKat one. So I can copy this. And then for the test value of this brand ID, I can input it like so. And so we have that binding set up. And so now if I just test this to make sure it works as expected, from this action, we should get that KitKat record as we do. Super, so that works like so. And you can see here, we have the ID of the parent company. And so all we now need to do after this is we need to check the user belongs to whatever company is the parent company that we get from this brand. So what I can do is I can add an action. Again, it will be get rows, and I'm going to query this user company table that joins users and companies, and I can add a filter. And here we're going to want two conditions. The first is I can search for where the company is, and I can bind it to be whatever the ID is of that parent company from the previous action, like so. And then add another condition where we say, and the user is, and we can bind this to be the auth ID. And don't worry, I know this can be a bit confusing, but just to further illustrate it one last time, what we're basically doing is we're getting the brand here. We're getting the brand because this lets us know who the parent company of the brand is. And that way we can then check if this user belongs to that parent company. And how we do that is we have this table that joins users to companies. And so to check if there is some kind of linkage between the user and the parent company, we can look through this table and we can say where the company is, and we've got this bound to be whatever the parent company is from this action where we get the brand that the person is trying to delete. And then lastly, we say where the user is, and the user is the auth user ID. And this essentially means that automatically it's going to use the ID of the user making this request. And just to test that this works, what I'm going to do is I pass in a brand ID here, and the brand I pass in is for KitKat. And so if I look back through my tables, KitKat is a brand here, and KitKat here belongs to the Nestle company. And the user that is linked to Nestle here is my Matthew@WeWeb.io account. So I can test this when I'm signed in as this account to make sure it works as expected. So if I switch back to the interface, and I will switch over to the Matthew@WeWeb account. If I now go back to that middleware here, when I now test this, we should see that we do get resulting records from this query because the account I'm signed in as is linked to this company in the user company table. So if I test this action first to get the brand, and I then test this action, you can see here we do indeed get data back. However, if I switch to the other account that is not linked to that company, and I then test this again, so I'll get the brand, and I'll then get this record from the user company, you can see there's no data that we get back. So in this case, we know the person that's trying to make this request is not linked to the company that is then linked to this brand. And so the last thing we need to do in this true or false split is check to see whether or not we got any data from this action, because if we got no data, then we know this person's being sneaky and they're trying to cheat the system, and we then need to give them some kind of error. And if there is data, then we know they're linked to the company, and so we can let them progress. So I'll click onto the true or false split. I can bind this, and what I'm going to bind it to is if I switch back to this tab where I can see all of the results from the previous actions. In this second action where we get the data from the user company table, here we can see the length is 0. And so I'll say if the length is greater than 0, meaning there was some kind of data returned, you can branch off the true and proceed. So this next action lets the request continue and go to whatever API or table view it's associated with. And if it's false, that means this person will get a 401 unauthorized error back. And so lastly, in my API endpoint, in this delete brand API, I can open the security panel. I can now click add middleware. I can choose my check brand belongs to user middleware. And here you can see we have access to those parameters that were defined. And we already have on this API a row ID. So this is the ID of the brand that I want to delete. Here I can bind this middleware to use that same row ID that gets passed. So for example, if I just bind it to be the row ID here, this would now work as expected. And if someone tries to delete a brand, but they don't belong to the company that owns the brand, they won't be allowed to delete the row. And lastly, again, we can test to make sure this works. So as we saw before, this Matthew@WeWeb.io account is linked to Nestle, and the brand KitKat in my database is linked to the Nestle company. And so if I try to delete the KitKat brand as a user who is not Matthew@WeWeb.io, my request will be rejected. So we can test that first. So I'll log in as the user who doesn't belong to the appropriate company. So this Matthew test@WeWeb.io account. And if I go back to the API, and I need the ID of the brand, so I'll quickly head back to the table and grab this ID, copy this. Now in the API, for my test value, I can paste that ID in. And now when I test this, you'll see, because I'm not linked to that parent company, the middleware will detect this and it will reject my request. So if I press test, you can see indeed it did not work and we got this error. However, if I now switch over to the Matthew@WeWeb account that belongs to the company that owns this brand, you will see that when I now test this, you can see it does indeed work. And if we switch over to the brands table, that KitKat brand is indeed deleted.
And lastly, when it comes to securing your table views, the process is the exact same. You can simply click this button in the top right to open the security panel, and this security panel is the exact same security panel you have access to in your API endpoint, so you can apply all the same security measures.
So that's pretty much everything. We've covered a bit of the theory about why security is important. So those two main considerations, securing your data, but also making sure you have restrictions around who can edit what. We then covered how to use the security panel in WeWeb. and the restrictions you can add via the security panel will cover the vast majority of your security restriction use cases. And then lastly, if you need to get even more granular, we covered what middleware is and how you can utilize it in WeWeb. Now, to properly implement security, you need to have a solid understanding of how authentication works and how to set it up. And if you're unsure exactly how to do so, then there'll be a video on screen now guiding you exactly on how to do just that.